Friends, we're all back together for the next episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Welcome. Welcome back to part 2 of our habit building, habit breaking, goal setting extravaganza with Erica Forsyth. If you haven't heard the first episode, go find it right now. And if you want to learn more about Erica, ericaforsyth.com. Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. AG1 is offering my listeners a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure you check out drinkag1.com/juicebox to get this offer. Don't forget to save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. All you have to do is use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. That's JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% at CozyEarth.com. The podcast contains so many different series and collections of information that it can be difficult to find them in your traditional podcast app sometimes. That's why they're also collected at juiceboxpodcast.com. Go up to the top. There's a menu right there. Click on Series, Defining Diabetes, Bold Beginnings, the Pro Tip Series, Small Sips, Omnipod 5, Ask Scott and Jenny, Mental Wellness, Fat and Protein, Defining Thyroid, After Dark, Diabetes Variables, Grand Rounds, Cold Wind, Pregnancy, Type 2 Diabetes, GLP Meds, The Math Behind Diabetes, Diabetes Myths, and so much more. You have to go check it out. It's all there and waiting for you, and it's absolutely free. JuiceboxPodcast.com. This episode is sponsored by the Tandem Mobi system, which is powered by Tandem's newest algorithm, Control-IQ Plus technology. Tandem Mobi has a predictive algorithm that helps prevent highs and lows and is now available for ages 2 and up. Learn more and get started today at tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox. The episode you're about to enjoy was brought to you by Dexcom. The Dexcom G7, the same CGM that my daughter wears. You can learn more and get started today at my link, dexcom.com/juicebox. Erica, we are back to talk about goal setting and building habits. Today, we're going to start with, what is this? The SMART framework? What is that?
Yes. So this is probably one of the most commonly used or identified ways to articulate a goal. The SMART framework basically means, let's say you meet with a therapist, whether it's a physical therapist or you're going to the gym and you're meeting with a trainer. They might say, okay, well, let's say you want to lose 50 pounds or you want to get stronger. They'll say, let's make this really specific. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So in this other example, instead of just saying, I want to save money or I want to grow my savings account, the SMART goal would be, I'm going to save $500 in 3 months by cutting dining out to once a week. So it's specific, it's measurable. You have the actual action item that you're going to be doing and measuring that. It's achievable. You're not saying in 1 week, you're not saying in 5 years, it's 3 months. It's relevant. It's actually something that you can understand and actually do. And time-bound. Now, this is really good in the mental health world. You might use this goal particularly in evidence-based practices. But what you'll find while you're trying to work on achieving these SMART goals, and this is what we're going to get into, there are going to be barriers of why is it so hard to not go out to dinner once a week? What is interfering with that? So this is one framework that I think is important to mention that might be relevant. As you said, I think in our first episode, that you are going to achieve your own habits and your own goals in your own way. So we're going to talk about different ways to achieve that. This is just one way that can be helpful for many. Yeah.
While you're listening to this conversation, in your mind, replace specific, focus on pre-bolusing maybe and CGM checks. Measurable, track your pre-bolusing success rate and A1C reduction. Make an achievable goal of reducing, a 0.5 percentage point in 3 months, and then use 3 months as a time frame and keep moving forward like that. Instead of looking at a 10 A1C and saying to yourself, how am I supposed to get this to a 6? that idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, love that. Yes, I'm going to pre-bolus, and even narrowing it down to I'm going to pre-bolus every meal. I'm going to pre-bolus just for one meal, or sometimes that even feels too vague. Sometimes we'll say, because of various maybe concerns or fears around highs or lows, just start pre-bolusing 1 minute before your meal, then and 2 minutes.
Because you'll see an improvement, and then you'll get the correlation between what you did and the improvement, and that might make you try it for 2 minutes and 3 minutes and 4 until you get to the space that works best for you.
Yes,
Okay.
the achievable part is really important, because if you set a goal that feels scary from the get-go, you were not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, right? Like we need to know, you know what? I think I can try this 1 minute before I sit down to eat, and experiencing that, like, yes, I did it.
Let me ask you professionally, why is that? Why would people say I can't do that and just not do it? You just said, like, if you set too large of a goal, it seems insurmountable, and so you quit, or you just don't even try. How does it work in someone's mind?
It's various factors. It would most likely be from either trauma from the past, right? Oh, I pre-bolused that time and I had a terrible low and I had a seizure. Or lack or kind of mass experience of doing it one way, and you become comfortable with that way of bolusing when you sit down to eat, or bolusing right as soon as you start to see the arrow go up. Even though maybe in your heart and gut and everything, you want to change that, you want to feel better, feel healthier, the comfort and attachment to the way you've done it really interferes with the change. And when you resist that, I was reading Carl Jung, who says the famous quote, "What you resist persists."
Okay.
And so there can be this like internal battle within you of like, oh, feels too scary. I just don't know. I don't feel comfortable with this. And then that might lead to more shame. Why can't I do this? Then you get stuck.
What you resist persists.
And leaning into that, like, okay, wow, this is feeling really scary for me, right? Like, just even pause. And this might feel really silly, but this is part of the work we would do. It's like, gosh, let's just validate. Like, this feels really scary. And we are going to lean into some compassion and acceptance around that before we start waging war with ourselves in this goal that might seem very simple to some. Just say, well, just pre-bolus 5 minutes before your meal. Start there, right? So this lands differently for everyone based on their experiences.
So the resistance creates some sort of an inner conflict with yourself. Now that's the fight instead of the thing that you were trying to get to?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So you can get stuck in your mind just battling it out. Like, why can't I do it? Oh, I can't do it. I'm terrible. I'm never going to be able to do it. I'm a failure. And with that kind of language and mindset, it's really hard to move out of that.
Yeah.
So that's part of the self-awareness.
What's that saying? Hold on. Darn. I laughed a second ago because I'm so interested and amused, and it's a wonderment how like our brains work. It actually made me think, when you said yes, I thought, I wonder how we'll be 500 years from now. That's what I thought. I'm like, I wonder if we'll get past this. Do you know what I mean? Like, are we like the amoeba version of humans right now, and like this will get better? Or is this just where we're going to be stuck? And there's that saying, energy goes where the attention goes. Like energy flows where the attention goes. That's the saying, right? So can you trick yourself into creating? I mean, how would you go about that, right? Like you need the actual thing you want to do be the thing you put your attention towards.
Yes. Let's transition to that.
Go ahead. The Dexcom G7 is sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast, and it features a lightning fast 30-minute warm-up time. That's right. From the time you put on the Dexcom G7 till the time you're getting readings, 30 minutes. That's pretty great. It also has a 12-hour grace period, so you can swap your sensor when it's convenient for you. All of that on top of it being small, accurate, incredibly wearable, and light. These things, in my opinion, make the Dexcom G7 a no-brainer. The Dexcom G7 comes with way more than just this. Up to 10 people can follow you. You can use it with type 1, type 2, or gestational diabetes. It's covered by all sorts of insurances. And this might be the best part. it might be the best part, alerts and alarms that are customizable so that you can be alerted at the levels that make sense to you. Dexcom.com/juicebox. Links in the show notes. Links at juiceboxpodcast.com to Dexcom and all of the sponsors. When you use my links, you're supporting the production of the podcast and helping to keep it free and plentiful. This episode is sponsored by Tandem Diabetes Care, and today I'm going to tell you about Tandem's newest pump and algorithm. The Tandem Mobi system with Control-IQ Plus technology features Auto Bolus, which can cover missed meal boluses and help prevent hyperglycemia. It has a dedicated sleep activity setting and is controlled from your personal iPhone. Tandem will help you to check your benefits today through my link, tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox. This is going to help you to get started with Tandem's smallest pump yet, that's powered by its best algorithm ever. Control-IQ Plus technology helps to keep blood sugars in range by predicting glucose levels 30 minutes ahead, and it adjusts insulin accordingly. You can wear the Tandem Mobi in a number of ways. Wear it on body with a patch-like adhesive sleeve that is sold separately, clip it discreetly to your clothing, or slip it into your pocket. Head now to my link, tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox to check out your benefits and get started today.
Okay. So we've all, just starting off with the very basics, we've all maybe heard, or maybe you haven't, that's okay, the visualization, the vision boards, and we might think that's really silly or not worthwhile step in this process. And in no way do you have to do that, but I think it's an important part of the process of getting to, like we just did in the, I think the first episode of, why is it, who do you want to become? What is that identity that you are longing to create?
Mm-hmm.
And so James Clear says, start with the person that you want to become. And who's the type of person who can do this kind of thing I want to do? So, it's always easy to talk about these things in weight loss, but we could also talk about it with, diabetes of like, I want to lose 40 pounds. That's the goal. That's the outcome.
Yeah.
And the assumption is that when I achieve this goal, then I will be happy. Like, I'm not happy now, but when I do this, then I'll be happy. And he really encourages us to inverse that process and say, okay, who's the type of person who can lose 40 pounds? Okay, I want to be a healthier person.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put the goal, I'm not going to put the number or the time frame. I'm not going to focus on that, which might be confusing because this is a little bit different from what we just talked about with the SMART framework. For some people, that might really work, the SMART framework. But for others, putting kind of that 40 pounds or 6 months, or, when I go on this trip on the shelf and say, okay, would a healthy person miss a workout? Like, what would a healthy person do?
Mm-hmm.
So in the diabetes way, you could say, okay, let's say your goal is... Yeah.
I always just use Jenny in my head because because she's a smart eater, she's an exerciser, a person who follows a schedule. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't get dissuaded from her goals. I've tried before. Like, I've said to her before, I'm like, Jenny, what do you do on a car trip? Like, you don't pull over to get gas and grab a candy bar? And she goes, no. And I'm like, well, what do you eat? And she goes, I pack something and bring it with me. And I'm like, oh, you're one of them. She's one of people with low stable blood sugars. Great time in range. Super freaking healthy. So is it fake it till you make it?
It feels really good.
She looks awesome. She's doing great. Is it fake it till you make it? Is that what it is or no?
Okay.
No.
So no and yes.
Okay.
James says, okay, I love this quote. This is one of his most famous quotes. Every action we take is like a vote for the type of person we wish to become. So, and he says, habits are how you embody the type of person you like to become. So if you're wanting to become a clean, organized person and you want that to be reflected in your bedroom, make your bed. Maybe, and that might feel like a huge task. There's even a book called, I was just looking at this, Make Your Bed, Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World. Like, so starting off with that, you know what would a clean and organized person do today? Oh, they're going to make their bed. And then that action is a vote towards
becoming that person,
the identity, becoming that person. And he talks about, you ask, like, is this just fake it till you make it? And he addresses this, it's this mindset of identity-based habits is a little bit different from that because, well, first of all, it's important. That can be a good step because you're telling yourself like you can do it, right? Like maybe you're fearful of speaking in public. You're really nervous, but you're going to tell yourself, I'm a really good public speaker. I can do this. I'm looking out in the audience and I'm, connecting with this person and making eye contact and feeling comfortable. I'm a great speaker. So you're kind of, quote, faking it till you make it. That works for only so long because then you're asking your mind and your body to believe something positive, but you don't have the evidence in the long term.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So
it does.
He kind of even jokes to say that when we believe something without facts and without evidence, that's actually delusions. I think there's an element that is important and can be a good first step for some. But if that's all we're hanging on to is the fake it till I make it mindset, then that will prove to not be effective eventually.
All right. Well, I just put that book in my Amazon cart. Make Your Bed.
Yes. Oh, it's great.
I also put I needed soap. So I did that at the same time.
I'm glad this is such, Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, I need soap while I'm here.
Well, that's a vote towards being a healthy person, a clean person.
That book and that soap will arrive tomorrow between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m.
It's a short book. I have it right here.
Oh, you do? Look at that.
It's good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a good book.
As you were describing, I was like, that's something I'd like to read myself and I'd like to pass it around to my kids too.
Yeah.
So I can't give it to my wife because, she's perfect. But I would definitely give it to my children.
Yes.
Just in case people are wondering, I like to use Tom's soap in the shower and it's hard to get in this.
I was going to ask, but I'm like, I don't know if that needs to be
it's
public.
The lavender.
You went for it.
It's lavender and shea, and I prefer to bathe with it. So my skin's sensitive otherwise. Even with like Dove or something like that, I can get anyway, this is neither here nor there.
Okay.
Okay.
We all know now that you have sensitive skin.
A little bit. I'm a little sensitive. Yeah. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Okay.
I apologize.
This kind of gets into a little bit of that we've talked in the past of the CBT triangle, which is the cognitive behavioral therapy. And that the triangle is that our thoughts affect how we feel and our feelings affect how we act or behave. And as you're envisioning that triangle, again, the arrows go back and forth, right? So our behaviors can affect how we feel. Our thoughts can affect our behaviors, right? So they're always impacting and affecting one another. So James Hole, one of his main points also is that it's really important to lead with actions. Because if we say, well, I'll get to it when I feel like it, or if we're really kind of letting our thoughts lead us, I'm a good public speaker, right? The fake it till you make it mindset. What we really need to do and to create the habit over time is leading with the actions.
Okay.
And that creates the identity formation. So it's going back to what would this blank person do today?
Right.
So whatever that long-term goal is, right? Like what would a healthy person do or choose or decide today?
So you're not faking it. You're really doing it. You're just looking and you're saying, this is not what I would do today, but this is what a person who has the outcomes I'm hoping to have would do. So I'll do those things. And then through that, you are doing it. I once said on the podcast when I was trying to figure out how to eat better, I just started following healthy people through the grocery store because I thought they might know what to buy that I don't know what to buy. That's it. Yeah. And I actually found that this is going to sound terrible, but the people who I didn't want to appear like, they ended up in the aisles with the food that I was like, oh, I shop in this aisle too often, apparently. So I'll leave this aisle, go to another one.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because it is how I have the podcast set up is aspirational. And that's what we're talking about, right? Just find somebody who knows how to do the thing you don't know how to do and copy them until it works out for you. Oh, okay. Awesome.
Well, yes, and I love that.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, the grocery store example is so great because you had the tangible example in front of you, right? You were, instead of asking yourself, how would a healthy person grocery shop? You actually followed a person and then actively you are becoming that.
Yeah, I was like, how do I get that ass? I'll follow that person.
Did anyone ever turn around?
No, I'm not following them that closely.
Okay.
Like, but no, I just honestly, I followed healthy people. Like I was like, see what aisles they go into. What do they pick up? What do they look at? Right. Because, I'm always telling people about diabetes, like, just because you don't have the tools doesn't mean you don't know how to do it. First, you just need the tools. So the tools for me in that scenario were the food. Like I was like, I don't know what food to grab. Like, so I'll watch them. What do they grab? Okay. I'll grab some of that looks not objectionable to me. Now I have tools in my hand. I'll go home and cook it. And then, there was even part of me that's like, I probably am preparing this incorrectly because I grew up like a trash person eating. So I don't know how to make this. So I looked online for healthy ways to prepare the food, made the food, and it helped me. With diabetes, the same thing. Like maybe somebody didn't teach you how to set your basal up or pre-bolus or something like that. Oh my gosh, that's what's going on for most of you. You don't have the tools. You still have to be alive. You do the best you can. It doesn't go well. It gets frustrating. You can't even set a goal because you know what the goal should be, but you have no idea the steps to get there. Okay, I got it. I'm sorry. I'm figuring this out as we go. Keeping in mind that
the goal setting is actually really easy, right? We can all say we want a whatever number A1C. We can all say, I want to be able to lift X amount. Like that's really the easy part. It's breaking it down, creating the habits, and getting into the systems that we'll talk about.
Right.
On this notion of identity formation, of who do I want to be and how is that person going to make a choice today? Just a little thought around Brené Brown, one of my favorites, and when we are pursuing certain habits, if we're choosing those habits that involve how other people perceive us, then that can lead to shame, internal shame, much quicker and easier.
Okay.
Right? So if you're forming a habit to reach a goal, what's about other people and how they think of you or view you, that's like that external, like, I'm going to do this because this is however I want someone to see me in this way, then we are much more easily going to go down that path of shame.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't care what other people think of me. I just know where I want to get. And that's what's important.
But that's not always the case for everybody. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So what happens if that's how I feel? If I go, if I choose this person's path and I think this is a path I'd like to follow, but I don't want somebody to mock me for doing it. Like, how do you get around that?
That, or I want to reach this goal because I think other people are going to perceive me differently when I reach this goal. Every time we make a choice or don't complete that habit to get to that goal, we are going to feel shamed. We are going to shame ourselves, right? If the end goal is because I want my doctor to think this of me, I want my community to think this way of me, attaching the goal to how we think other people are going to perceive you when you reach that goal leads to shame, because when you don't take the step towards the habit building to get to the goal, you feel crummy.
Okay. So the step, so setting the small goals, taking the steps, that's what's important.
Yes. And being aware of the end result and why you're wanting that result. And is it for
for them or for me?
Yes.
Yeah. So doing it for yourself is very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Because if you're doing it for someone else and you trip, then the shame flows in. If you're doing it for yourself and you trip up, why does that help you?
Well, we still can go down the path of shame very easily.
Sure.
I think what James says, that we can become a victim of the expectations that we think other people have about us. So if you're trying to reach a goal because we think other people expect us to, or we think they're going to think differently of us, and we don't reach that goal, then we're feeling kind of like a victim of their expectations. But conversely, if you're just doing it for yourself, you can also feel badly about yourself, but it's different.
So is it about how you hold yourself or how you actually feel? Like, it's so strange you're bringing this up. So I'm going to say something I'm slightly embarrassed by. We ran out last night for dinner at the last minute, me and Kelly and Arden, and we had been working all day. So everybody was sort of like in sweatpants or, like sweatshirts. I had like a baseball hat on. We're sitting in this restaurant and Arden looks over. Now, Arden's dressed very well. You're not catching Arden outside if she doesn't look great, right? So she looks at Kelly and she goes, Mom, I'm going to need you to just try harder. And she's like, and Kelly's like, I worked all day. This is just sweats. And she goes, I know, but still. She looks at me and she says, for no reason, because he doesn't deserve to feel this way, Dad carries himself like he's the governor of a state. and I was like, what? She goes, you act like you own a state. And I was like, right. And she goes, you're not acting. Like you're projecting how you feel about yourself. And I said, I guess, like, I don't know. Like, it's not a thing I'm doing on purpose, but I thought about it a lot after she said it. She's not wrong. Like, I have a fair amount of self-confidence. And I guess it comes out in that. It also comes out in things we do. Like, for example, before we started recording today, you're like, hey, how are you? I'm like, oh, I'm like knee deep in this thing. I'm launching a brand new community for people with diabetes. Do you know who I'm doing it with? Me. Yeah. And it's going to be a huge undertaking. And I said, like, it was nothing. I said, I think if I just put a good year into it, it's going to be like, I'll get it. Where I just said it offhandedly. You were like,
I know, and I was like, okay.
Oh, a year. Is that all you're going to do? Like, to me, that's all of this. It's goal setting. And this podcast taught me about goal setting. It taught me that set a goal, make sure it's reasonable, and then fucking do it. Like, don't like sit around and like plan it out for 10 years. Now, I will be honest with you. This community thing's been in my head for 4 years. I've been mulling it over a long time and setting up pieces in the background and assets for it and building another community in Facebook that I think can help feed it. Like, I didn't just like run outside and yell, I'm going to do it. But when the moment came and I had all the pieces in place, I was like, okay, oh, I had the tools. When I had all the tools in place, it was like, all right, it's time to start building the ship now. And I don't care if it fails. And I don't care what anybody thinks about me while I'm doing it. And if it fails and people like point at me, I won't even notice. Like, even in a social media world where people could literally like make it known to me, like, I think you screwed this up. I'd be like, I don't care what you think. I was trying to do something good and I'll just do it again. So, but why, like, you know, like, where does that come from? Is it experiences? Because I don't know that I was always like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm thinking there's two. I'm like, what is your identity formation? So you're already acting, instead of being like, what would a healthy person do? You're already like acting as if you could not, I don't know, is it successful? Like, what would a successful person do?
Secret time, Erica. That's how I built the whole podcast. I was like, what would a person who's actually in this position? Oh my God, I was doing this and I didn't even know it. What would a person who's in the position I want to be in act like in this situation? I did that in business meetings. Like, I did it when I set things up, when I put things into the world. I'm like, I don't act like, oh, I'm making a podcast. I act like I'm making a radio show and it's 1990 and it's the height of radio. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I do it. Like, I act like that's what's happening. I'm not acting. I'm actually doing it. So in context of the podcast, you can make a thing perfectly. If people don't respond to it, it doesn't exist. It's a tree falling in the woods, right? The minute you get response back to it, that's probably when I was like, oh, people like this. I'm right. This will grow. And so as soon as I knew I was correct, then I was running. Does that make sense? So I did the thing. I didn't care if anybody liked it or didn't like it. That, by the way, if you're looking for my origin story, it's when I wrote the book. And I got a bad review one time. And I read it and it was devastating, but I didn't care because other people liked the book. And I was like, well, some people liked it. Everyone's not going to like it. And then I was able to wash my hands of that idea that everybody had to like me. That's gone. And then I wanted to make this podcast. And I said, I had the freedom of not caring if everybody liked me at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started the podcast. I watched it help people. And then once I saw that it was doing what I thought, like once I saw I had cause and effect, I said, oh, I did a thing. This happened. That's what I thought was going to happen. That was valuable and positive for somebody else. I'll do it again. Let me multiply it by 1 million if I can. Then I was off and running. Oh, okay. So I had to get knocked down before I got up again. Is this a Chumbawamba song, my life?
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the song.
Where'd I come up with Chumbawamba, by the way?
I don't know.
Awesome.
That was impressive reference. Yes. I get knocked down.
Exactly. We don't want a copyright problem, but yes, that's it.
Okay. Sorry. I was off too. And so it's all good. Going back to the you were acting as if you were a podcast creator in the beginning.
Right.
Like and then like, what would a podcast creator do? And you would do those steps. And then eventually you became one.
Mhm.
right? So and then you had the evidence built in, but your actions in the beginning, I mean, you were acting as if you already had a podcast before you had a podcast.
Yeah, that's all. I should be on YouTube telling people how to do things, but I'm busy. And I'm not trying to snooker you out of your money or your time or your views. And the truth is, where did I get that from? I got it from people I listen to. And when you look back at them, they didn't know what they were doing either. And the one kindness they did in the world was when they told their story, they said, I didn't know what I was doing. And I started this thing, or I was bad at this when I started and I got better at it. You know, people told me no, and I didn't care. I did it anyway. I was driven to do it. So I did it. So you just take all of this. Here, listen, if you're listening, just take all of this and apply it to your diabetes and boom, you'll be fine.
Well, yes.
With a lot of work and help. Yeah.
A lot of work and self-awareness and compassion. What is the purpose of the goal? Who are you trying to impress? Are you feeling like you're a victim of how other people perceive you? Oftentimes when you get stuck in that, and I'm just trying to think about, in your experience, if you're feeling like, oh no, is everyone not going to like this? When you're kind of thinking about this like collective experience, when we get stuck in that narrative of like, oh no, if I reach this goal, or will this habit make me reach this goal? And with that goal, will other people perceive me in this way? To break it down and ask it, like, put individual names and people in that. And usually you don't really care. Like, do they care if I don't do this thing or if I do? And usually the answer is no. So just being aware of, are you so concerned about how the people, and we're human, we are all concerned about how the other people view us.
Yeah, I'm not unaware that it's important to me, like if people care about me and love me, but people outside of my sphere, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like if a stranger gives me a bad review, I was like, oh, they didn't like it, because I had to go through that process. Because the first time it felt like they didn't like me. You know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, why would that matter? There are people who like me. Like I'm just not for everybody. Like I would tell you that one of my secrets is being able to give things away. Like is to not like hang on things and be burdened by them forever. Like this thing, was hurtful. It was impactful. I processed it and I moved past it and I don't think about it anymore. And trust me, there are plenty of people who don't like me and some of them say it online. I've seen it. Like, but it's, I don't know, like, what am I going to do? Awesome.
Yes.
You know what? I want to give you a pat on the back. It's the wrong phrasing, but I want to give you a lot of credit here. It may not surprise people who are listening for a long time that Erica has sent me very thoughtful notes about what we're going to talk about. And it may not surprise you that I don't read them. I follow them while we're talking, but I don't read them ahead of time. And I'm always impressed that when I look up at the notes, you got me to the spot. I'm like, oh, I'm there. This is where I would have been if I would have read ahead. and I find that really impressive. And I think it's probably something that people enjoy about these recordings between the two of us, because you're doing such a good job of walking me through this process that I'm having a realization as I'm going. And I'm imagining that's happening for other people as well. So really cool. Thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are we at the end of part 4?
Yes, the second episode. Yeah, identity-based habits.
We're good here. And we're out of time now, so we'll stop. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening to part 2. There's more, so go find it. There's part 3 and 4 out there somewhere. And if they're not available yet, check out another episode or go to ericaforsyth.com to learn more about Erica. The podcast you just enjoyed was sponsored by Tandem Diabetes Care. Learn more about Tandem's newest automated insulin delivery system, Tandem Mobi with Control-IQ Plus technology, at tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox. There are links in the show notes and links at juiceboxpodcast.com. Today's episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Dexcom G7, and the Dexcom G7 warms up in just 30 minutes. Check it out now at dexcom.com/juicebox. I can't thank you enough for listening. Please make sure you're subscribed or following in your audio app. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. My Diabetes Pro Tip series is about cutting through the clutter of diabetes management to give you the straightforward, practical insights that truly make a difference. This series is all about mastering the fundamentals, whether it's the basics of insulin, dosing adjustments, or everyday management strategies that will empower you to take control. I'm joined by Jenny Smith, who is a diabetes educator with over 35 years of personal experience, and we break down complex concepts into simple, actionable tips. The Diabetes Pro Tip series runs between episode 1000 and 1025 in your podcast player, where you can listen to it at juiceboxpodcast.com by going up into the menu. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording, wrongwayrecording.com.